In today's video, I will be going over every single schematic in Modern Warfare Zombies and how to unlock them. Few things to go over before we fully start the video. Number one, a lot of these I do not recommend for you to do solo unless you're an absolute professional, but if you're here, you probably would like some help. We do have a Discord server link down in the description with special channels for Modern Warfare Zombies or just looking for groups where you can find people to play with, so I definitely recommend checking that out. Number two, there will be timestamps on the timeline in the description and maybe in the comments as well if I put them in there, for you to jump around to any specific area of schematics that you need. They will be categorized by missions to just finding them in the game, and then Easter eggs, because a lot of them are hidden behind the Easter eggs. Speaking of Easter eggs, I will be trying to give you best tips and tricks on those, but I will also just be breaking down how to get those as fast as possible, solo, non-solo, and then running around Dark Aether. And also I will be utilizing a lot of community made posts, which are definitely 100 times better than me yapping in this video, so I will have every single one of those as an image in this video if need be, or there will be links down in the description to huge mega Reddit posts or anything like that where people actually have map images and images of what you're supposed to look for, which is 100 times better. But I just wanted to let you know before we get into the video, because the first ones that we're going to be looking at is schematics that you can only get in missions, which are the first act to the third act. From the fourth act, you don't really get these schematics unless you complete the missions themselves. So the missions, I will not be telling you which ones you get from what, but the schematics you can get is the uncommon ether tool, rare ether tool, death perception, quick revive, cryofreeze, and lastly the wonderwaffe DG2. Those are the only schematics that you can unlock by just completing those missions, and the acts themselves, they're not too difficult and you can definitely complete those solo, just might take you some time. Now moving on to the schematics that you can get inside of the tiers. This will be broken down into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So before I fully get into how to get these schematics, the best tip that I have for you to do this, and I know this will sound awful, but it's play the game. I know that sounds bad because it's just like, well, obviously I can just play the game and unlock these, but that is realistically the truth. It is going to take a lot of time and you just need to grind out those contracts. If you're dedicated enough and spend enough time, it will be pretty easy. It is extremely, and I need to emphasize the extremely RNG based. So if you don't get the schematic, it isn't because you're doing something wrong, it is just because the game is being stupid. Personally, I have tried fully 100% completing Modern Warfare Zombies twice and I still don't have the schematic in tier 3 for the Pack-a-Punch 2 crystal on my main account, and I've played this game since it released. Now I might have been on and off with it, but it still takes a lot of time. So that's just the best tip that I have for these schematics. So in tier 1, which is the first one that I'm going to get into, you can get deadshot, stamin up, napalm burst, speed cola, and brain rot. This is honestly not the worst thing to get, but again, RNG is heavily in play with this. Tier 2, you can get raw aetherium crystal, juggernog, PhD flopper, shatter blast, and lastly dead wire. This one can definitely prove to be more difficult, obviously because the contracts do take a tiny bit more time in these, especially since enemies are more difficult in tier 2. And then lastly on to tier 3. This one is definitely the most challenging, most time consuming, most difficult, unless you have a good setup. So the first one is the raygun, elemental pop, tombstone, epic ether tool, and lastly the Pack-a-Punch 2 refined aetherium crystal, which is the one that I actually don't own on my second account, or well, my main account. Now we're going to be getting on to the danger zone, the more difficult ones to unlock, and the first one that I'm gonna cover isn't actually Easter egg related, and that is the red worm boss fight. If you don't know what the red worm boss fight is, you can only complete this once the storm completely consumes the map, or at least the area where the boss can spawn, which is the first thing that I want to get into. I will have links down in the description to both where you need the parts for this boss fight and where the boss fight can be located, but I will pop it up on your screen during this video, so if you just want to pause, you can pause. The first thing is you will need to get 4 different USB sticks, which is super simple, but there's just so many different locations, which is definitely a Reddit post I recommend for you to check out, where a person went over every single location where you can find them in detail, and I will just pop up an image with most of the USB sticks on your screen right now if you want to just, you know, go to those locations. It's essentially like this machine thing that you walk up, interact with it, go into a computer, and it spits it out. You then can hold it throughout the map. Then from when you actually get all of those, I recommend basically preparing as much as you can. For this boss fight, I really recommend for you to have a VR11. It actually does incredible against the red worm, so that's definitely a wonder weapon that you would want to have, unless, you know, you can't have it because it is a schematic. But if you're lucky enough to get it maybe out of the box or just have an acquisition of it, then I definitely recommend for you to pop in with it or play with other players. And then from there, if you just want to look around the map yourself without looking it up, you do have to look around for 2 ammo boxes essentially being joined together on the map somewhere. That's where the red worm will be. So once you make your way over there and the storm consumes the location, you can put those actual USB sticks into those machines themselves, and then over time they will start like doing these explosive, they're just hitting the ground essentially. Characters will talk to you and then the red worm pops out. And this boss fight is pretty challenging, but it's not incredibly difficult. If you're lucky enough, there will be other players trying to do it. I did get lucky one time and I basically got most of my schematics. So the schematics that you can get from this is the legendary aether tool, the Scorcher, and the flawless aetherium crystal. The Scorcher is, dare I say, like the best thing to have in Modern Warfare Zombies, so I do recommend for you to do this one. And again, just hop in with players if you can, or just use the VR11, gas mask it up, self revive, fully pack a bunch of weapons and perks. Just be as prepared as possible. Now we're going to be moving on to the Easter eggs, which is going to get a bit confusing and a bit time consuming, so do bear with me. The first one that we're going to go over is the first Easter egg, and with each of these Easter eggs you do need to complete the first mission. So for Easter egg 1, you need to complete the first mission and you need to go up against the Grey Worm boss fight, and this one can also be a bit challenging, but do not fear since I have a class set up for you and weapons to use. The first one up is this shotgun. I really recommend for you to use it. It's definitely a beast and I personally really like using it. Even if there's other weapons that might be better, I still recommend this bad boy. Here's the full setup of it if you want to know what to put on it. And then once you have that, also go in with the RG11, because this worm boss fight has orbs that can be super easily destroyed with the grenade launcher. And what you want to do is force spawn the boss, which you do have to make your way onto the actual beach. But once you do that, the boss spawns in and you can make your way behind this, like, I don't know, bathroom gas station looking thing, and just sit back here and keep blasting away. You should have enough time if you complete the other steps super easily, since, you know, they guide you through it. I'm not going to be explaining that. And you do have an ammo box not too far away if you do run out of ammo, but zombies should be dropping that. And this one isn't incredibly difficult. If the Grey Worm does go underneath the ground, just shoot your RGL on it and it will pop out. But from this, you should get your first item for the Easter egg, and that is a fully upgraded notebook. And this notebook is your first part, so you can pop out and put it into your like stash, or you could just keep it on you. From here, we're going to be making our way to essentially get the next part, which requires you to have dead wire equipped on a weapon, and then you need to look around the map for orbs. I will try to pop up on your screen again location of all the orbs where they can spawn. This one can be a bit complicated, but once you do that, just shoot it. It'll turn yellow. Keep shooting it with your gun while dead wire is equipped, and a camera that is purple will drop. From here, we want to get the dog collar, which requires you to essentially put meat into a dog house, and from that a dog will spawn in and you essentially have to kill that dog. It's very self-explanatory. And lastly, you want to get the pills, which requires you to get brain rot this time around on your weapon itself, and then make your way over to a spore location on the map. This can be anything from like the stronghold spore locations or just mini spore locations. You can do this in tier 2, tier 1, tier 3, while you go all over the place, who knows. Essentially, shoot the spore with your brain rotted gun. It'll turn green. Interact with it by holding down like square whatever the button it says to interact with it. It pops open and there is your pills. Now what do you want to do with these purple 3 items? You essentially have to upgrade them, so you can do this in the same game or in a different game. When they're on you, you need to look around for essentially rift tears, and this one can be a bit difficult because they're just challenging to find. But once you find them, you go inside of one of these tears with the items on you, and it'll pop you out somewhere else where you will have to fly into another tear. And then once you pop out of that tear, a special purple contract that you can only see will pop out. Once you accept this contract, you will then have to go up against different bosses, which I will say these different bosses will actually have different locations they can spawn. One of them will spawn spawn in tier 3, and it will be a mangler, which will be very difficult to take down. So this one with a team will be easier, or just fully pack a punch 3 weapons and triple armor. Once you kill them all, you will be able to then pick up the gold and upgraded version of each one of these items, from the camera to the pills to the dog collar, and it's not the most difficult. But now you can make your way over to this location on the map and then interact with the podiums. There is a little bug, I'm pretty sure, to this day, where you might have to exfil and go back in. Make sure you do also have your notebook, because I don't know, the game is just buggy. Once you interact with all the podiums, put on the items that go on it. There's a little icon that will just let you know what to put on it. It will glow. Once you do that, a portal will appear where a special boss will spawn in. Kill that mega abomination boss, and from there you will get a sigil. This item will allow you to go into the first dark aether, which is essentially where you just fought the Grey Lorm a while ago or whenever, and essentially go through multiple challenges, or well, 3 challenges, to then go back in again. I know it's complicated, bear with me if you've never done this. Essentially go into this, but be prepared. I recommend having a VR11, just because the VR11 also helps you with the transport mission, which is essentially where you have to transport a rocket from point A to point B. There will be a bunch of zombies spawning in, but do not worry, the VR11 heals it. Just have a lot of self revives or play with people. Now, I will not be telling you where these bunnies are located, but this one, again, map on your screen right now that shows you each one of those bunny locations, or a link down in the description if you want to just check it out yourself. And with these bunnies, you will be then able to go up to each one of them, interact with the bunny, and then a challenge will spawn in. For the rocket challenge, I just recommend for you to have either Casimirs or monkey bombs to distract the zombies, and definitely having maybe an energy mine, which will help you out a lot. It's not the most difficult, but from any of these 3 challenges, you will be getting essentially the most important item, and that is an Elder Sigil. So if you don't get it from this, you can move on to the next one, which is essentially just protect this location, or we'll just stay in it until it's done. It will just be spawning a bunch of dogs. It's not the most difficult thing. If you want a good weapon for this dark aether, I recommend for you to have the crossbow. It is very good because it's explosive, so why not? Here's a class on your screen if you wanted to check it out. If you don't get the Elder Sigil from that, again, it's the next one and the last one that might drop you the Elder Sigil, which is the transport one. This one is definitely the most challenging, but again, a VR11 and even a sentry gun on top will make your life easier. But it's not 100% that an actual Elder Sigil will spawn in, so if it doesn't, you unfortunately have to go in. And then when you go back in with an Elder Sigil, which is just, again, interact with the actual like special portal on the other side, put it in, and you can go into the actual mission and do the same thing again, but this time with a 15-minute clock. Don't worry, the thing that I will tell you is you don't actually have to complete the most difficult one, which is the transport one. You could risk it, get only 2 schematics, and essentially hop back in if you have another Elder Sigil and complete a super easy schematic and hope for the best that you can get your last schematic that you might need. From this, you do get the golden armor plate, dog bone, and ether blade. So those are the 3 schematics that you can get. Moving on to the second Easter egg, this one, again, complete the mission, and from that you should be able to get the legendary drums, which I do recommend for you to put away. From there, what you want to do is go back into the mission and just go behind where you would spawn in on top of the boat, which will have a pillar. When you interact with this pillar, you need to get melee kills, so you could spawn in with a melee weapon, or just pick up the insta kill that they drop for you and just punch zombies, collect enough souls, and you will be able to get your first item. Then make your way over to the back of the boat. If you just look at my screen right now, I will fast forward it for you so you can like figure out where it is. In this location, you will have to get headshot kills, which isn't super difficult. Just get them killed, get the like souls sucked up, pick up the other item, and then lastly you want to make your way over to I-8 on the map, and essentially this one's definitely the most complicated. Once you activate this pillar, you will need to get ammo mod kills, which can be actually super frustrating. Essentially, whatever the ring color is associated to the ammo mod. There will be things that you can pick up, like these like totem things that you can pick up the ammo mods and get it done. It's nothing too difficult, but it's nothing too easy. Now, how do I upgrade these items, you might be wondering? Essentially, what you do is make your way back to the map, and it's actually probably the easiest way to upgrade them. So this first location that we're gonna go is upgrade the actual like what would you call that, like a shooting target, and make your way over to this location on the map. And once you're here, interact with the actual like location where I'm interacting, and then special purple shooting targets will spawn in. One will spawn behind the raid itself, and another one will spawn super behind you, but they're not too difficult to get. And once you complete this, you will get the golden upgraded version of the well, the shooting target thing. Next one that we're gonna upgrade is the boxing gloves. So make your way way over to this location on the map, and once you are here, all you need to do is whatever weapon you're holding, do bear that in mind, will be the weapon that you will need to use for this challenge. But once you put down the gloves in the ring itself, then make your way over to the punching bags. Punch the punching bags with the weapon that you had in hand when you activated this. You need to punch these from left to right, and once you do that, a zombie will spawn in the ring itself. Make your way to the ring and then kill the zombie again with the weapon you activated with. So you know your pistol has to be melee. Has to be melee. Once you do that, you will get the upgraded gloves. And the last thing that we want to upgrade is the mirror itself. Go over to this location on the map, interact with it, and you will then have a special zombie if you're playing solo, or multiple special zombies that spawn in that will glow a certain color, which is essentially the ammo mod that you want to kill them with. Make your way over to this like a little tower area, and once you are here, just pick up whatever ammo mod. It's just going to be color associated, or at least text associated. Pick it up and kill the zombie. I'm pretty sure it does have to be specifically from this. It cannot just be, you know, one that you had on you. But once you do that, upgraded mirror. Now make your way over to this location again, last time, and in this location you will be able to put down all of the stuff associated with the color. A special mimic will spawn out. Kill the mimic. Once you kill the mimic, a sigil will pop out, or you have an elder sigil. Go into the dark ether. Here are the bunny locations. The missions that you have is number 1, a boss to kill. This one is kind of easy. Maybe it's kind of like in this fog location. It can differentiate from different ones, or it can actually spawn super far away. I had a mangler, and I also had, I think, a disciple once, and most of the time it's an abomination. Once you kill that, an elder sigil, if you're doing it, you know, in a sigil, or an elder sigil will spawn in a schematic. These are very difficult to get. If you're wondering what schematics you can get, it is going to be the Mags of Holding, VR11, and the Blood Burner. Pretty good ones, not the worst ones. And the other challenge that you can get is just the normal like holdout location. You just go to the location and stay there until it's done. Super easy. And the last one is the rocket launches again. Can be frustrating, nothing impossible. And also something I forgot to mention, here is the exfil for this location. Yeah, if you're specifically wondering. Now we're moving on to the third and second last Easter egg. This one, you will have to complete the mission. Once again, nothing too difficult. And then once you have that done, it will require you to do a few annoying things. So the first thing that you want to get is a friendly dog. Now you can get this friendly dog by either having a bone or just, you know, getting it from the dog houses itself. And once you do that, a special dog will spawn in, and you need to make your way over to a merc camp, preferably. And you need to look for a merc who has essentially a red hat on his head. He is like the main sergeant, and the dog needs to kill it. Once you do that, you will get a special item. From here, you make your way over to I-7 on the map, or this location on the map itself. Go underneath this bed, interact with this box, you will get a quote, and then a special purple thing will pop out. Super easy, nothing too complicated. Just, you know, interact with it, wait around. Next one is go over to the ether storm. This is the thing that you can find on the map. It's like that purple location, and in here you will have to get a certain amount of zombie kills. Some people say it's 50, some people say it's more. Honestly, this can actually differentiate. I felt like I had to get a bunch of kills for it to work, but if you get enough, you will get the last and third item. Now for upgrading it is a bit complicated, because you need to find 3 triangle locations that I will have on your like screen right now, and on a map itself located. I won't be going into detail on them, because there is a better way, if it still works at the time that I'm making this video, to complete this. Essentially, you need to find these triangles and shoot 3 different symbols around the place. Once you shoot these 3 different symbols, you will be able to basically offer a special thing if you activate a triangle. A lot of the time people will have this already completed. It is very difficult to get it without somebody having completed, but here is the thing that I noticed that might still work. You can still offer the actual item if the triangle has been already activated. To quickly describe the offering, it is in this location for this example, for this specific item. If you have all 3 on you right now, if you offer it, an orb will spawn in, and you need to kill a certain amount of zombies to fill up that orb, and then lastly, a special zombie will spawn in that will take extra kills to kill. It's definitely going to be a bit more difficult, so if you have players it's going to be easier, but it's not impossible in solo, and then the upgraded item will pop out. Now it does take a lot of trial and error to get into this specific spot, but the next one is over here in the building. I'm going to try to show you the best way I can. It's going to be located here on the map, and you just need to angle yourself perfectly, and it might be able to place if the triangle in this location, which is here, and shoot 3 symbols. If it is used up, it is kind of complicated to explain fully, so just look what I'm doing on the screen. My triangles were already used up, but I still placed down the item, and I was able to do the challenge. Mimic spawned in and I killed it. And then the last one is actually located by this like location where you can sometimes have pack-a-punch. Triangle can already be activated. Just stand in the triangle in the middle, shoot 3 symbols that are glowing purple around the place. If it is, then just make your way over to this location, climb on top, and just angle yourself. And in here, get a certain amount of kills to fill up an orb. And then lastly, what you need to do is kill the mangler, and an upgraded version of the actual item will pop out. This is probably the most frustrating and stupidest Easter egg step I've ever had to do on this game, but you know what? It's completable. Just angle yourself correctly. If you can't, then unfortunately you have to go back in and be the person that shoots the triangle multiple times, but I don't think that's the case. Anyway, from here, what you can do is go over and offer these items in this location where I am doing it. Now, the only bad thing with this is there is a very difficult zombie that will spawn in, and I think this is the most frustrating. Thankfully, I had players to help me. Thank you still so much to these players during this game, because holy freaking hell, this was difficult. Essentially, a special disciple spawns in, and when the special disciple spawns in, you have to kill it as fast as possible before it spawns in mega abominations. When it spawns in mega abominations, oh boy, good luck trying to kill it fast enough. I was lucky enough to do it, but once you do that, the actual aether rift will open, or whatever you want to call it, the portal, elder sigil or sigil, you can pop in. Now with this one, I don't have to exactly tell you these locations, but I can tell you challenges are, because these locations will be marked by glowing pillars in the sky. Once you interact with them, the way you actually activate the mission is you need to pick up the special item. These special items can give you boosts, which is really nice, like run faster or do other stuff, which is pretty cool. I actually never completed one of these missions, which is the like healing extractor thing, because this ether is, dare I say, one of, if not the most difficult ones. I personally find it extremely challenging and extremely annoying. If you do this, there is one that you have to kill, a mega abomination, which is, dare I say, the most difficult, just because the amount of mimics and manglers that spawn in is super frustrating. And then the other one is, once again, just hold the area until it's fully completed, and it's actually not that difficult, but it is also difficult, but you have a lot of space to run around. It's just almost mimics and manglers, ladies and gentlemen. So for this one, I don't recommend for you to complete all 3, because you will not have enough time if you're doing it in the 15 minutes if you don't have an elder sigil. You can get an elder sigil by just completing these contracts in the first like sigil run. Now the schematics that you can get in this is the dead wire detonators, Sergeants Beret, and lastly the golden mask filter. Nothing crazy, like, I will be honest, these are not that good, but hey, schematic. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the last and final schematics that you can get inside of Modern Warfare Zombies, and it is for the last and final Easter egg. This one is thankfully not the worst, but it's also not the best. For this, you do need to complete the mission, defeat the boss, get the bunny, and that is your fully upgraded item that you can put away. Now from here, you might have a feeling of, but wait, I know this Easter egg because I want to do it right now if it's super fresh, and I looked at the pillar and I know the items. Why aren't my items working? You need, and I need to emphasize this, to do the purple items first, which I will be telling you about now. Your gold items from the first, second, and third Easter egg will not work. This is one of the biggest flaws the zombies community had when we were trying to look for this Easter egg, because we were like, oh, this must work, right? No. So how do I get the purple items? Make your way over to this location on the map and you will see a bunny. I know the gameplay isn't the best. I had complaints before, but the bunny requires you to have the blood burner schematic acquisition, or you can just find the blood burner on the map. Once you do that, you then have to go through just a tunnel, drive through it, and then once you drive through that tunnel, follow those arrows, you will get to the last bunny location. You can get the purple drum. Now we're gonna move on to the next item, which requires you to get the purple notebook. The purple notebook essentially requires you to get a certain amount of special zombie kills with the ether blade that you can get inside of the first Easter egg. So if you haven't done the first Easter egg, you do unfortunately have to complete it. I know, super frustrating. Now there are different triangles on the map, which I would recommend for you to do to get these bosses to spawn in. I'm pretty sure these can work, but the one that I like to do is this water location. Essentially shoot the targets inside of the water, angle yourself around this location where I'm angling myself, and then special zombies will spawn in, but mostly mimics. Just keep throwing your knife until you get the item, which is the purple notebook. And now lastly, you will need the Sergeants Beret from the third Easter egg. I know, super frustrating again, because you need to put it on, make your way over to a merc camp, preferably because those are the easiest, and do the finisher move on one of these mercs, and you will get the giraffe purple item. Yeah, from here, upgrading them is definitely easier said than done. The first one we're going to be looking at is upgrading the actual drum, which is right here on the map. Make your way over. It's by like tier 3, and you need to make your way on top of this like pillar location. It is kind of challenging to get on top, but once you do get on top of it, there is a special rock that is making noise. Interact with it, and from here it's very similar to past Easter eggs when you need to get special zombie kills with ammo mods. I know. Thankfully, these ammo mods behave completely different from what they have behaved like before. Now, what I mean by that is there are pillars around in this location that will have those ammo mods, and you can just interact with it, and the ammo mod will miraculously appear on your gun, and it will never disappear. So there is no chance, you know, the ammo mod being gone and you're kind of screwed. So essentially here, a bunch of zombies will spawn in, and there will be specifically colored zombies, like, you know, green for brain rot, whatever. Interact with the brain rot one, shoot the brain rot zombie, rinse and repeat with the other ammo mods and the other 3 zombies or 4 zombies altogether, and you will get the upgraded drum while it is on you. Make sure it is on you. The next one that we're going to move on to is upgrading the notebook. Make your way over to this location on the map. It is going to be kind of where Pack-a-Punch 2 can be, and what you need to do here is climb on top of this like tower statue thing. Once you make your way on top of this tower statue thing, all you need to do is interact with this like whatever these rocks are, like meteor 115 but red, who cares. Once you interact with it, it will pop up PhD flopper. If you don't have it, definitely drink it. And then if you make your way slightly outside, there is a portal, and if you go through this portal, you will then be spawned on top of these huge pipes, these steam things, whatever, reactors, nukes, whatever you want to call it. And what you'll need to do is land on top of this blue crate, but you need to sprint and dive. PhD flopper will protect you from the fall damage, so don't worry, but you need to land on top of it. It does take a bit of trials and errors. Don't worry, behind you, just below the like pipe thing that you were on top, there is a portal, so they got you. It will just teleport you back up, and rinse and repeat this process. Land on top of the blue crate, and you will get the upgraded notebook. And lastly, the most frustrating one that I don't know if I recommend for you to complete solo, just because it might be impossible. Thankfully, I had help in my game, but basically make your way over to this location on the map in tier 3, and here you will find a rock inside of a van, and when you interact with it, basically every single special zombie, Mega Abomination, Mimic, Mangler, and Disciple, but these are like the special boss ones, so very difficult to take down. Essentially, kill them. It will take a lot of time. You will get the last giraffe upgrade. Now make your way over to this location, put in all the items. One player in your team needs to put them in, and once you put in these items, you will have probably 1 or 4 special zombies spawn in. For us, it was just a normal Mega Abomination. Once you kill it, you can make your way inside. But for this one, again, I will tell you one thing. Don't go inside of here unless you have a Scorcher, or just go in with an Elder Sigil. No Elder God Sigil, just go in with a normal Sigil. No Elder God Sigil, or go in with players, because again, I don't have to tell you where these bunnies are because they're marked by glowing things in the sky. But once you complete these, it's just a very complicated dark ether to get around. Now, the schematics that you can get inside of it is the grenade bandolier, the disciple in a bottle, and lastly, the 30 upgrade for your stash. So you'll get up to 30 slots. It's nothing too great, but it's also nothing too bad. It's definitely something that we should have had all the way back in like season 1. So yeah, that's it. That's all the stuff. A lot of talking, and I tried to break it down as best as I could. I will probably have a lot of text on screen if I forgot anything in detail, a lot of stuff in the description, and hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I really hope I helped you out. If you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to drop a like on the video, as that does help out the channel and the video itself to spread to more people, to help out others. And if you dislike the video, obviously dislike it, and comment down below if you have any other recommendations. Maybe if I forgot something, I will pin your comment. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Classic Philly Z Smooch.